Hello and welcome to another very optional video. I'm Mitch, your host, and joining me is Russell.
Sup?
And also joining me is the tamer of dragons, Jordan.
You took my line. Yes, that is I.
I almost said like Tramer, like combine them both. Anyway, today we're discussing Xbox in 2019 because we did this kind of thing last year, and that was fascinating because we spoke about Sea of Thieves and Crackdown 3. Now, one of those games has not come out in 2018 because Crackdown 3 is coming out in 2019 for some reason. So I want to jump right into about Crackdown and like, where do we stand on Crackdown? What do you think about Crackdown, Jordan? Are you excited for Crackdown 3? Are you the only one on earth who is?
Well, I probably played a little bit, but it'd be exactly the same as number 1, where you just collect a lot of shit to level up.
It looks like you
collect just climbing a lot and destroying a lot of stuff. Yep. It's. I feel as though it's just going to be pretty much the same, just better graphics, more explosions and stuff.
Yeah, and was Crackdown
be good.
Was Crackdown 1 a good game though? Did you enjoy it, or because going off the collect all the shit doesn't sound like a very good way to sell it?
It was entertaining to play until you had to basically just keep collecting stuff. Otherwise, that's how you upgraded yourself. You had to keep climbing buildings, collect all those orbs everywhere. So I'd expect this is going to be the same.
Yeah. So Russell, how familiar are you with Crackdown 3, and like, what are your overall impressions of it? Because I've spoken about it a couple of times, and I don't think we've ever been that positive on Crackdown 3.
Yeah, well, it feels like a broken record. Like every time we speak about Crackdown, it's like it's a game that's been in development for as long as like a God of War, and one that won't hit anywhere near the kind of level of like breaking the norm and being something special as those games have done. And in terms of like what the series was in the past, like it was basically just a prototype type game. You know, enjoy going around destroying things, blowing up stuff, and that was kind of like it was that experience.
There's
of
nothing more to it.
Which, you know, I guess like there isn't many games like that anymore. Like Earth Defense is probably the only one that comes to mind where it's like it's just literally just go mental and blow shit up. And this game, I guess, with their cloud technology that's taken forever to implement,
only in multiplayer,
that it'll have like impressive destructions, but it's just, I don't know, it feels like it's just one of those games that maybe you get enjoyment out of it like for initial couple hours, but then you'll just realize it's like pretty bland and repetitive, and it's just something that hasn't, I don't know, moved forward as like a lot of other games have really like adapted and become something more. And I just feel like it's like harkens back to old game design.
Yeah, to me it seems like
it's
weird that this is the flagship game for Xbox this year, because we're going to talk about the few other games. There's one we know of, there's one I assume, but it's kind of strange that like I think Crackdown 3 is literally being sent out to die because they've no real like they can't not release it at this point, regardless of what they think the quality is. I think the quality probably meets the standard of Crackdown, which never really blew anyone away. Like,
see, there's two curves to releasing games. Really early access, and so late it's been delayed so many times, we just have to release it. Welcome to Crackdown 3.
Yeah, I just hope there's something positive about it. I just can't see it. I just can't see this game getting good reviews or anything. Like, everything they showed
I'm
off,
sure people...
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some people who will enjoy aspects of this game. I just know it's not for me. It's not a game that I will experience. It's like, just move forward. Play something else. Like, the story is such a big focus for me, and it's like, this game's like, it's just hectic fun, and I just imagine it'll be very hectic, fleeting fun. But, you know, Xbox Game Pass, you essentially get it for nothing or, like, very cheap.
It is cheap.
And what else has Xbox got? You know, it's like, it's about having at least something coming out.
Good question, Russell, because they do have something coming out, and that is Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is kind of more indie side of things, but it is being kind of marketed as one of their big tentpoles for this year because they advertised it as 2019, and I guarantee it will come out. I don't see this game being delayed. Like, do you see this game coming out this year, Russell? And how well do you think it will do compared to the last one?
It's one of those things where Xbox doesn't have much on the horizons but also at the same time have maybe potentially heaps of things on the very far horizon.
Future. We'll get to that a bit later, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the aspect of right now, what have they got? And Ori, I can imagine, is like, we have to get this out next year. Like, basically, it's like the Nintendo complex, where it's like, as long as you release something great in a year, people still forgive them. Last year with, like, Smash Brothers, where it's like, as long as you've got that, it could be dead for the rest of the year. And, I mean, there's still third parties and whatnot.
There's still third parties.
I mean, Ori in itself, I expect it to be excellent.
Definitely.
Will it succeed? It's the original game. I don't know, but the second game of most series are the best of one. So hopefully it doesn't fall short of kind of like how great the original one was, and really, we could be looking at like one of the best games of next year with Ori.
Yeah, it could be the Cuphead situation of like Xbox had nothing, but they did have Cuphead, and Cuphead was a brilliant game. So it's just like, I think Ori 2 will be better than the first, as much as I love the first. It just looks like from everything they're doing, it will step it a bit more forward. It is coming under Game Pass as well, so I guess the install base of people who played it will be higher, so that's a good thing for its chances at like the awards at the end of the year of like Game of the Year. Well, it won't be Game of the Year, but like indie, it doesn't even fit the indie Game of the Year thing, does it really? Although Cuphead did, didn't it?
Well, I know it's one of the things. Who else knows what else in the year could compete to it? Like Ori could have a really heartwarming story. I mean, the soundtrack in the last game was amazing. If they just fix some of the mechanical problems I feel like the last game had, and also all these other things they seem like they're introducing, and they all excellent. Like I definitely think Ori's got a chance of being one of the best games of next year. Certainly the Celeste of next year, like something really good.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've set it up to be that way, and I just hope that it doesn't fall short of kind of like that anticipation.
The anticipation from Ori fans is high, and like I love the first game. John, what do you think about like Ori? How excited for this game are you?
Well, you pretty much said all the things that I was going to say, but
say it anyway.
seeing that they have a lot bigger budget on this one compared to the first one, you're going to definitely expect more things to happen. You're going to most likely, from what we've seen, have a few more bosses than just one or two.
Yeah, this does look like it has actual bosses rather than the big escape sequences.
Yep.
Yeah, which were excellent, but bosses would be cool.
But yeah.
And then I'm also going to expect it's going to be a larger world compared to the first one as well. Yep. So just more Ori. Yeah.
More Ori is definitely a good thing. And it's really the only game we have, other than Crackdown 3, that's kind of got a confirmed 2019 date. But there is one other that I think will kind of close out this generation for Xbox. And I think that's Gears of War 5. Like, I don't think we'll see Halo Infinite and all that before we see the new Xbox. Yeah. So I think Gears 5 will be that closing one, because like when they showed it off, it looked pretty finished, if you ask me. Like they'd done all the voice acting, which is normally one of the last parts of it.
They seemed as though with the what they showed us was like halfway through the game, so it wasn't like the starting point or anything like that. So they already have it all set.
I think it's early.
The moving.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be 2019 game. If it is, it's probably going to be late 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, E3 is like right now. Microsoft's got all the potential in the world during that.
Yeah, so they're not there. They can do whatever they want.
just go nuts. So it could be their massive showcase of like, oh, here's Gears and it comes out in October or something. But right now, yeah, I'm not sure. It was so new since we've seen it. Like, there's also like the Gears Pop and like the Gears Tactics and stuff. Like, it could be a year of Gears. This year, 2019.
Yeah. They've showed off Gears Pop, and it does look like as you expect from a mobile game. It looks like everything you expect. But Gears Tactics could be interesting. Like, that could definitely be a game that comes out this year. It'd be a different move for Gears, but focusing on Gears 5, I think what we saw in the trailer last year, gotta make sure I say that because it was last year, I think we saw a lot of interesting things that could elevate this to a higher standard than I think Gears 4 was, because like, it doesn't look like there's robots, and that is a great thing. The robots suck.
I had high hopes for Gears 4. I was really looking forward to it, and then robots sort of let it down, and then it's just reskin Locust. Oh, they're back now.
Oh, they're back.
There's new
surprise.
types. It's just the biggest disappointment for me was by having all these new characters. When you went into Horde mode, it felt like a shell of what Gears of War 2 and 3 Horde mode was, because you had a lot less stuff coming, and half of it was robots. So, Gears 5, if they bring back all the other creatures and put that into Horde mode as well, that'd be epic. That's my wish for it.
I want way more than just like the old creatures. Like that to me would be the worst thing they could do, is if they just go, let's just literally like basically remake Gears of War 1 or something, and it's like it's the original, it's here's the Brumac, here's like the Berserkers, that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I would like to see new versions of them. That would be cool.
No, I meant as in like just in certain modes, bring back those creatures. You can add them into the roster.
Yeah,
so it's got like
them and all
it's basically. So it's
Yeah.
Gears Ultimate. Like, it's basically Gears
Everyone's
Ultimate, all
here.
the old stuff, and add the new stuff. Yeah. But I think everyone here is on the same page. Like, none of us like the robot aspect of that game.
No, we did
And
not.
I mean, I think the characters have improved a bit. Like, they're less broy than they were in the original 3. Like, it was basically like the bro of wars. Like, that's basically what it was. And then Gears of War 4, at least they changed that up a bit in the dynamic and the characters.
Gears
And
3
it
was
felt
basically we're taking off all our sleeves. No more sleeves. We're going
Gonna show off
sleeveless.
Yeah, and I like when games push their story forward and do something different, and I do feel like Gears 5 will be that, because how that game ends is like, at the very least we know that locusts are going to be a massive part of that series again, which is good. And I mean, they could do cool stuff with the robots now, like, you know, fuse them, and it's like, oh, now they're robots, now the locusts have like formed with them or
That's
something.
what they
and now
have
there's,
done.
like,
They
it's
literally have done
like,
that.
you know, Doom enemies, you know, where it's like it's like that aspect of like the cyborgy
A
demon
bit of
things.
mechs, bit of robots.
I feel as though Gears 4 was like, it sort of set them up to a point where they can make something good with Gears 5. The story is there. You've already had all the crappy fights and everything. Now make it explode.
Yeah, I guess, but like, it's an interesting series that 4 didn't sell as well as they did. Like, this used to be one of their big franchises that I think this generation with Xbox have all felt a bit flat, like Halo 5, for example. I think we've said enough on that topic that it wasn't... The story was rubbish, there were lots of things wrong with that game. Gears 4 had a lot of problems. Nobody liked the robots, and I have to emphasize, nobody likes robots. Nobody likes robots. They weren't fun to fight, they're not fun to chainsaw, which is a key part of Gears of War.
I mean, that is the key. Like, when it's not fun to chain them because of the fact there's no blood and shit coming out, it's like that in itself is a really good way to sum it up. Like, they ruined Gears because of robots, and the fact that they're switching back is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. They learned their lesson. I think the story is interesting of how they set it up in Gears 4, which, spoilers, turns out that we're with the granddaughter of the Queen, so where this story goes, it could be somewhere interesting. They've showed off a ton of environments, though, like, more than you'd expect from Gears of War. There's the desert, there's the snow, there's the jungle. This game could be a pretty big game. Like, this could be a really big, diverse Gears game that we've never gotten before, so, you know,
Here's hoping.
there's a lot they could do with this game.
Still, though, like, on a mechanic level, it's still going to be Gears 4. Like, you saw the template defined in that game. It was like, okay, you're going to have really crazy environmental hazards. You've still got the, like, you know, solid, but at this point, overly familiar, like, you know, lock-in kind of, like, third-person shooter combat. And they also have the environmental, you know, like, very strong, like, skiing on ice, and that was kind of, like, utilized on the bikes and
Gears
stuff.
4 had the big
like, they've
storm.
got... on a mechanical level, it's going to be solid, but I don't know if there's going to be any massive surprises, because it still looks like it's what was Gears 4.
Yeah,
Gears
and
4
Gears
was,
4
but
tried to do
I
surprises and didn't really pay off.
Yeah, I mean, they had cool moments, but
Had some cool moments.
It didn't feel like as like impactful as, like, let's say an Uncharted was or something, where it's like, oh, this is like super awesome. It was kind of like, oh, okay, here's like a little divergent bit where you're on a bike or whatever, going up a wall.
Yeah, and the bike's control were really weird, and the big storms was always funny, because it's just like, you know, it's just like, Marcus has lived there for a very long time, but the moment we all rock up, his house, his farm is
shit goes
completely
down.
destroyed.
Yeah.
It's just, there's things like that are funny, but like, I do think there's a lot of potential for Gears 5, I think, with all the environments and all that, but with the new melee combat, because they've really shown off a bit more, like, melee weapons and stuff that weren't in there, and they're bringing back the swarm kind of enemies, like, they look like the Krill, but they're not, so, you know. Any final word on Gears 5, Jordan? Seeing you're the biggest Gears fan here.
Am I the biggest Gears fan here? Oh,
Definitely.
yeah, well, I just honestly hope that it's more fun than what Gears 4 was.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Keep it simple. Just being
Feels more
fun. Like,
fun.
I mean, that's key to game design. You know, you want it to be fun. You want it to be enjoyable. And I think ultimately Microsoft expects that to be its biggest release, and probably will be its biggest release next
Definitely.
year. I mean, E3 could be a surprise for them, and they actually do have some other massive games to announce or something, but I don't think so. I think the studio acquisitions they've been doing, that's really just hinting at the future. Like, this is for once the next Xbox, whatever that is,
and
comes out.
so leads me perfectly on to the next Xbox. We theorize that you probably might see the PS5 this year. Don't know if it'll come out. Will we see Xbox's next version this year? Will they announce that?
I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it, because they only recently brought out the Xbox One X.
But has that
like a
stopped
year
them in
ago.
the past?
Yeah, well, I was thinking the same thing in the sense of they literally have. They're the one who already have confirmed there's a next gen console. Sony kind of has, but not
Not really, but Xbox
You
officially
just-
has like mentioned that they are working on it.
They have, yeah, it's happening, and it's like, is it too early, or rather, have they been working on it for actually quite a while? And it's like it's going to be a neck and neck thing, and when Sony and Xbox both are releasing it at similar time again, I mean, it's certainly possible. But I think yes, it's what you said, Mitch, is like because Xbox One X came recently, that doesn't matter for them. They need. Xbox One X wasn't enough for them, like in the sense of like it just kept them stably growing. Like it's still a really well performing console. It just looks shit in comparison to its competitor. And they want that fresh start when Sony has also got the new fresh start.
Yeah.
And they want to be like, we want to be the superior console at that launch. So if Sony seems like it's coming soon, I can only assume Xbox must be like, we have to be the same time. We have to.
The
be
biggest
competitive.
issue is going to be not the console itself, but the games that it comes with. If it has no games, then the console's not going to sell.
That's why it's acquiring so many studios, is that exact reason. They knew they didn't have the studios to produce them. Now they do. So if you just put a realistic timeline on them, maybe, let's say some of them are already in development, some of the studios, maybe 2-3 years from now, or from then, which was like last year. So you could see some of them coming to fruition maybe the first or second year of that console cycle, if it comes out next year.
Yeah, and I think Microsoft is. I don't know if I actually kind of think they've written off this generation a bit. I think they've just concluded that, okay, Sony's got this, what can we do? Well, we can focus on the next one to beat them that time.
I think they're preparing a structure that basically means they can dominate Sony if Sony doesn't have something to represent it. Like, that Game Pass system, I think it's basically like right now they're like, we have a system that is so gamer-friendly, like consumer-friendly, like we're basically giving you our entire library. Maybe for some people that library isn't compelling enough, but we are giving it to you for a pretty small fee, the Netflix model. And that could be massive if they continue that into the next console cycle, where they go, look, at launch we've got Halo Infinite, we've got Cuphead 2, we've got, I don't know, some other big Xbox, brand new IPs you've never seen that look amazing, and they all come to Game Pass for $10 subscription.
On day one
and
of them.
they're all launch games.
At launch.
And you go, oh shit, you have to get this console. Now I imagine Sony's probably doing something bigger. We've discussed it, like Last of Us and those kind of things. But I think Microsoft is definitely thinking that way. Where it's like, we can build our mechanical systems now that everyone understands. So then we announce our next console, we can really just like push it forward with the systems we already have, backwards compatibility, Game Pass and whatnot.
I think Microsoft has the money behind it. Microsoft is one of the biggest companies in the world. Sony is big, but it's not Microsoft big. So Microsoft can really push forward. They can buy studios that Sony probably can't just go out and buy. Like, they can really push hard, and they can make this console more powerful and just take a bigger loss. Like, they can probably afford to take a loss more than Sony can take a loss. So just like, I think Phil Spencer was just kind of doing what he could with what he had. And so the next generation will be his one. This will be like what
Correct.
he did, not Don Matrick. It will be Phil Spencer at the head of Microsoft pushing forward this console. I think that is a good thing because he's clearly understands like everything he's done, like backwards compatibility, Game Pass. These are all very smart moves, and I just think
Crossplay between consoles, like it's all. He's basically reading like why Sony was so successful because of that gamer message, and like a quadruple down on it, and just gone. Xbox has basically become that in the background. Like, because the IPs aren't there, I feel like people aren't looking at them as much, but on the mechanics as a platform, Xbox is better than Sony. Like, it has so much that Sony doesn't have. It's just, it doesn't have the IPs to back it up after that point.
Which they have to really work hard. They need to do what the original Xbox did, which was they came out of nowhere. Like, they didn't have all these studios and stuff, and they just managed to make Halo. Like, Halo was the big game. They need to kind of go back to that, I feel like. They need the next Halo. They can't just keep releasing
Make Halo great again?
Well, I think they are improving Halo with Infinite. We'll get to that in a moment because that's the only game on the horizon we really know about that isn't DLC like Cuphead. It's DLC. So, but I think Xbox are in a very strong spot. Not this generation, next generation, because the message has already been like muddled with like people still think it's online only. I think that there's only so much you can do to fix the public eye on it. Other than go, here's the new one, here's everything awesome about it, here's these new games that are coming out on the horizon. And I think that's big enough reason for Xbox to be a big player next generation. I think it'll be closer than this one, like no doubt.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, That kind of leads us on to the only other game we really know about it that's not rumored, like Fable, whatever, which might not even exist. Whatever all these companies are working on, because they just been acquired. And Microsoft will acquire more. I definitely see them acquiring more studios this year. Whoever they are, I'm not sure, because they've really bought a lot of pretty good buys, like some out there, some like, but there's only so many studios to say.
Microsoft calls you up on the phone. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are, but we will find you and we will acquire you.
And we will kill you. I mean, acquire. Excellent.
It would be interesting to see if like this year they go, actually we've shut down some of those studios because the games they're working on.
They're crap. And we bought id Software.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, how'd you buy that? Bethesda. We bought Bethesda.
we purchased EA. It's like, what?
They could do it. They could actually.
I feel as though that
EA.
would be a downgrade, though, purchasing EA.
Well, you get rid of all the EA people. That's the thing. And then you've got you got the Frostbite engine, which is pretty good. You got the FIFA. You got the Star Wars exclusive to Xbox.
Exclusive. We all know Xbox loves world premieres and
World
exclusives.
premiere. No, and last year was Xbox One and Windows 10 premiere.
Every year.
They just extend that onwards. But there's one last thing, which is Halo Infinite. Won't come out this year. We know nothing about it, really. Drawn thought it was Halo 1 again.
Well, that's what it looked like when it began, and it's like, they're just remastering it again.
I mean, that's
the point.
That's very deliberate, Jordan. Like, that's what they want you to think. Like, oh, this looks like Halo 1. I remember the good old memories of that game, and that's what they want you to think going in. It's not Halo 5. It's back to what it was.
Yeah, and I think everything we've seen about it is interesting because it's open world. They've confirmed that. Local co-op open world. They've confirmed that, which is something we haven't seen. We haven't seen an open world
Halo
game
5.
with
Rest in peace.
co-op or local co-op before. So, yeah, it's something I learned from Halo 5. Don't take it out of Halo. It's stupid. Like, I grew up playing Halo local co-op with my brother. It's just like, that's how we played it. That's why I love Halo. It's just, you take that out. If they did that again, it'd be like, Xbox, what are you doing? But I think the open world vibe for Halo could really bring back what Halo 1 was. You know, that sense of mystery, that sense of you don't understand what this thing is. Like, you land on this ring, what does the ring do? At that point, you don't understand it. I mean, at least we know what a ring does. It kills everyone. It kills the food for the flood, but it still gives us, like, a big environment with everything they've showed off, like, of just exploring Forerunner structures and things that you don't know. They could introduce the flood in an interesting way in an open world. So I think also introducing the original Halo suit from Halo 2 and 3 is also a step in the right direction to me, because it's showing that, alright, we know what the fans want. They want what Halo was, not what we made Halo into. So I was just curious, John, what do you think about Halo Infinite?
Well, I feel as though the way that Halo 5 ended, they're in a position where they could do a complete reboot if they wanted to. With these Guardians that have just been activated, they could wipe out everything and you could just start again. It definitely feels as though the way that they're going, that they might do some sort of time jump after those events of 5, so that that's in the past and then they can move forward. The best things, the reason why I like that it looks like Halo 1 is because the best things about it was when you had maps that you could just go and explore, it was that unknown territory. Instead of just place A to B, shoot behind cover until you get to your destination.
Yeah. So. Yeah, when you think of like the Silent Cartographer, that was like a good example of what I think one of the best, like it is the best Halo 1 level, and I think it kind of presents a really interesting way to show off a level of how Infinite could work. So you got this land, there's all these little like different places you could go that do different things that all eventually add up together to like activating the getting rid of the shields so they'll go further into this facility and things. Russell, as someone who's not as big into Halo as either of us, are you at all excited for what Halo Infinite could be?
To me, Halo is Xbox's biggest franchise. It always has been, and it has remained to be, regardless of maybe like critical reception or personal reception to like some of their games. But it is still the biggest IP they have. And I feel like Phil Spencer has been looking at what other studios have been doing with some of their biggest franchises and how they've been changing them and adapting them. Zelda, Breath of the Wild, God of War, like doing something new, exciting, and it paying off big time. I very, very, very much expect that they are going to do the exact same thing with Halo, and that they want Halo to be the exact same thing. It was like, this is a series that you loved. It has massive fans, heaps of fans. Basically, the biggest thing we have on this console,
100%.
and we have redefined it, and it's better. And it does something groundbreaking and new. And I feel like Phil Spencer wants that. The Xbox doesn't have that yet, and Halo Infinite has the best potential to be that. Will it succeed? All of them are risks. I mean, even like Cory Barlog, like the fact that like God of War was like 10 out of 10, and so many people thought that, it's like he didn't know. Like fans could have really like disliked it because of the changes they made. And it is a risk factor, and I feel like Halo Infinite is going to take that risk, and we shall see if it pays off. But I feel like it is that ambitious game that it will do something that makes it so you have to own an Xbox to have that game.
Yeah, but like all the biggest games ever, like Halo Combat Evolved was ambitious. That was something people hadn't really had on consoles so much, and it really perfected what it was on consoles. But Bungie risked everything on that. If that was crap, well, Microsoft wouldn't have bought it. Their studio probably would have collapsed, and all sorts of things. It's like you got to take a risk sometimes.
And Destiny would have never existed,
for better or worse.
It would have been better off.
What do you think? I think we're worse off if Bungie had never made Halo. I think someone might have filled in their spot, but I do think that, like, I don't know, Killzone never caught up to Halo, but it's like you can't know. Like Horizon, that was a risk. God of War, that was a risk. All these things are risks, but I think you got that brand name, you got that Halo, and I think it's not as strong as it used to be, but as you were saying, Russell, like if you prove that it's there, you show that there's a reason why this is our biggest IP, this is our best game, and this is why you should play it. I think, it could be huge.
It's one of those things, like, I wouldn't expect it as drastic as this, but, like, it could be a Fallout 76. That could happen as well, where they go, we're trying something new, let's see what happens, and it just completely backfires and it becomes a disaster.
That's what happens when you half-assed
Not as bad as people think it is.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying how that there is an example of where that could happen, where it's like you promise all this new stuff, changing it, going a different direction, being something brand new, and then it really falling short, and a lot of people being really unexcited by it. But
Xbox can't do that.
Microsoft won't want that. And I think I just look at their catalog. I said we talked about Gears. It's like how Gears still feels similar. Like they've changed it subtly, but not enough to make it feel like it's something brand new and exciting. And I feel like Xbox, Halo will be the first one where they go, oh, this is Microsoft trying to do what everyone else has been doing, like really like redefine what the series could be, but still keep what it was. Like keep the Halo feel, the Sonic Dark Warfare. Like it's elements of stuff you've seen in the past of their that series, but also something brand new as well.
Yeah. So I think basically Xbox 2019 is in trouble. I think Xbox has a very bright future though. I think as far as consoles go, like Xbox has proven themselves this generation that they are willing to do things that other companies aren't doing and maybe should be doing. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what they do. This year might be a bit of a loss, I think, unless if Gears 5 comes out, great. If otherwise, it's Ori and Crackdown 3, which Ori's going to be phenomenal. Crackdown 3, not so sure. So that's basically our thoughts on Xbox. Xbox this year could be great. It's probably not going to be. So thank you guys for joining me once again.
It's fun, yeah. It's E3 is the one I'm excited about. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, E3 is...
Yes, it will be interesting.
Yeah, like Sony's not there, Xbox is there, so...
Just quickly, with Xbox, you know how they like their world exclusives and everything. Will it be World E3 exclusive Xbox One console?
I don't
I wonder if they'll backpedal a little bit and they won't do it, but I don't know. At this point, they've done it, like 2-3 years, I think they've been doing that system. They probably won't change it. You'll still see all the world premieres and shit.
Yeah, you will. So, yeah. So let us know in the comments below what you think about Xbox 2019. Are we too harsh on Crackdown? Like, are you as excited about Ori as we are? Let us know. And yeah, if you like this video, you can like and subscribe here on YouTube. You can smash that bell and then fix it back up because we need that to work. And so that'll send you some notifications. Yeah, so thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Spartan 117.
Anyone hear me? Over.
Isolate that signal. Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?
Sir, finishing this fight.